Alright, so quick video today on this Piper Turbo Arrow. I believe this is the 4, but the principle will be the same on the 3. First, let's go ahead and take off, get some forward pressure on the yoke. So what I want to talk about today is two reasons why I think this plane is the most realistic in the sim. A, which probably isn't a surprise being a Justflight product. I don't think that's... oh shoot. Sorry. Good thing this isn't a real plane. I would have botched that. But that's probably no surprise being that it's Justflight. I think most people kind of associate that with a level of realism and quality, as they should. And so I want to talk about why this is the most realistic feeling plane. And I also want to talk about why I hated this plane for, I wouldn't say when I first got it. When I first got it, I loved it. And then there was a huge chunk in the middle where I absolutely hated it. And within the last 15 minutes, I love it again. And I'll tell you why. It's an interesting story. So I was watching a YouTube video kind of talking about realism for, you know, little tricks you can do to help your sim feel more realistic, and for the most part they're right. And his tip was to tinker around with the sensitivity of your yoke. And I've got the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 yoke. It's a great yoke, I like it, but I mean everything in the sim reacts so, you know, it's uncharacteristic of an actual airplane. It's like a bee could fart on the yoke and the plane's going to go full deflection left. You know what I mean? It has no weight to it. No matter how much fuel you put in, how much payload, it might change a little, but for the most part, most planes in the sim do not. And so I followed his advice and I lowered my sensitivity, yada yada. And anyway, that being said, I did that forever, and for every other plane in the sim, it worked great. You know, it felt more realistic. It was a little dampened. It felt like it had some weight to it. And then coming back to the Justflight Piper, after I hadn't flown it for months, I hated it because I was trying to do IMC needle approach, and I just could not figure out how to make this thing fly. It felt so sluggish, and I'm sure you can realize where I'm going with it, but Justflight nailed the flight model so well that, you know, any tinkering with the way that they had it made it fly terribly. Like, I was doing full deflection up, down, and it would just not move, and it was so frustrating because I spent so much time tracking VORs just to get to this needle ILS approach, and it completely bug out on me, and I was so bummed. And I'm not going to say it, but I was P-worded, the one that also means urine, if you know what I mean. And I was really upset with it, and so I wrote it off. And then I was thinking about it about, like I said, 15 minutes ago. Just got home from work. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try the Justflight again. And that was the trick. I set a new profile for the yoke, set everything back to default, and this thing flies fantastic. Still has that weight to it, but it's nimble. It flies like it would in real life. Like, it's a great add-on. But other things I want to talk about is, yes, the texturing is definitely dated. It's not 1,000% fantastic. Like, let's just do a little S-turn here. It's not really gonna work. When I go on the crosswind and final, you'll see kind of the light will show through on here, but you can just kind of tell it's fairly dated. It's not super sharp 4K. Like, look at the I don't even know what you call that. Not the cowling, but the panel, the upper part of the panel where the stitching is. There, I forget. Now you can see my mouse now. That's clearly dated, but other than that, it looks great. I mean, exterior-wise, the Arrow is such a beautiful plane. I got this livery on TO, so where's the airport? Oh, right over here. But absolutely beautiful plane, a classic. But the things that make this so realistic is obviously you know, every circuit breaker that can pull out pulls out. The way you start it, like I spent like 4 or 5 minutes trying to figure out why this wouldn't start earlier, and I'm ashamed to say it, I pulled the tablet out and I hit ready for flight, and I realized that since we're up in Colorado at 10,000 plus feet, the mixture needed to pretty much almost be out, you know, to really give that engine proper, you know, mixture levels there. So that was the trick. I figured it out. And I also love that about Justflight is something that I wish the Learjet had when I was first learning it, is the realism through the roof, which the Learjet does have, but also the ready for flight button, dude. I just worked, you know, however many hours. I'm tired, I'm stinky, I smell, and I just want to fly a couple circuits in Colorado, you know what I mean? And Justflight definitely pulled through with that. We are way high, way fast, dropping gear, I don't care. I'm not even looking at speeds on my tape there. You know what? Slip. You know, we'll see what a real slip would feel like. Oh gosh. It's a lot less stable than most slips, because I don't know what I'm doing in a slip. But it goes to show the realism of the plane. Like, this thing punishes you. If you're not on it with your approach, like me right now, it won't lay down the way you want it. It will not just roll over and let you fly how you want to fly it. You need to set your approach up. You need to be stable. You need to know what you're doing, or else this thing will quickly go bananas, for lack of a better term. You'll get a lot of pilot-induced oscillation, thinking that you need to overcorrect it. But that being said, once you're stable, we'll see if I can get a decent landing here. It's the first time I've flown it in a while and not been cussing at my screen because the whole needle situation. But I can already tell I'm starting to get swirly, low. But right now, I just want to get it on the ground. But that being said, with all that, hold on, let me land this. I have to focus. I can't. Off center line, don't care. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm gonna stall out. Oh no. I'm porpoising without even touching the runway. Oh gosh. FS Realistic really, you know, makes fun of you if you do a bad landing with the over animated camera shaking. But if you're not on it, it just doesn't do what you want it to do. Other planes in the sim, you can throw it into a slip, dump flaps, come right in, and as long as you flare, you know, at your normal time, you're good, no matter what it is. This has its own thing, depending on weight, depending on all that. But, that being said, the absolute satisfaction of greasing a landing in this thing is phenomenal. And unlike other planes, like, this is the only Justflight product I have. No, that's Black Square. I was going to say I have the Tip Tank Bonanza, but that's a Black Square. Yeah, this is the only Justflight I have, and after revisiting it, whenever I was angry at it, now I've had some time to cool off and realize I was the problem. I'm really loving this, and I can see why their stuff has such a price tag on it. And it also upsets me to know that means every other developer isn't doing what Justflight's doing when they could. It's possible. It's not a limitation of the sim. It's a limitation of the effort and all that stuff. Of course, there's great developers, but, you know, especially in the GA side of it, I feel like everything just kind of flies the same. Psst, don't tell anybody. But I feel like it all kind of flies the same, relatively. Whereas this has its own personality, dude. It's a really great plane, and I'm loving it now since I reset everything to default and just let Justflight's developers, you know, allow it to flourish as it was intended. By the way, this is Leadville. I did a video on it. I didn't really like the video I did, but it's an awesome airport. It's like $2 in the sim. Coming in high here on the end of the hangar, but yeah, that's my little rant about Justflight. It's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but Yeah, man. It's expensive. These turbo arrows are expensive. I got them on sale. Um, I believe I got the 3 and the 4 on sale bundled together for like 25 bucks. I think it was like during the Christmas sale. So I got extremely lucky with that. Um, but I can't remember what they are normally, but they're up there. I think they're like in the 40s each, I want to say. But if you want realism, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Also, look at that big fat little eagle's wing. I love, love the profile of the Piper wing, man. You can't beat it. Pop your little guy out. It's an awesome plane, dude. But definitely pricey, but one of the few things I think the effort, is worth the price tag. And especially, it depends obviously if you can afford it. But let me get it turned around here. And even the exterior, you can kind of tell is dated. It just has an older style to it, but nothing too bad. Yep, that's my 2 cents.